Hey, thanks for joining me today. I've got a good question from Joshua in Florida. He says, I've recently been given the privilege of working with our church's music director. We have roughly 30 musicians in our church. The hardest challenge is trying to have the old school generation musicians play along with the newer generation of musicians. Our schedule gets very complicated and we end up with different styles of musicians on the platform. This always becomes a problem when it comes to what style of music should the song be played in. What style should the song be played? Any suggestions on this matter would be greatly appreciated. Well, first of all, Joshua, you're blessed because you have 30 musicians in your church. A lot of churches would be happy to have a piano player. So that's a blessing. But now you've got to have some real wisdom. You don't want to just kind of put all the experienced older musicians out to pasture and have just the young, edgier musicians on the stage. I think you just need some real wisdom in making these people feel welcome as well in your worship team. One idea would be to have, if you've got 30 musicians, find out what musicians work best with each other. Maybe have the more seasoned, or you call them old school generation musicians. That would be me probably. How do you get the old school players in a place where they feel like they're going to win? Part of that is going to be just selecting the songs, the right songs that put them in a position to do what they do the best. They may not be the perfect musicians to play all the top 25 worship songs out there right now, but there are a lot of great worship songs that they'd probably do a great job with. So you might want to think about taking a look at your roster of 30 musicians and say, these four guys or four people work really well together, or this team of 10, maybe it's 10 and 10 and 10 if you got 30, and just kind of put them together in a place where it seems to fit musically. And then I would say, now what songs would also fit with this group that would cause them to be in a winning situation. It's tough because you're dealing with, I'm assuming you're dealing with volunteers. And when you have volunteers in the church, you really want to appreciate them, not take advantage of them, but if possible, put them in a place where they can win. So if I was in your situation, Joshua, I'd be taking a look at the 30 players and saying, you know what, these guys are not really hip and are not going to do a really good job with the new Bethel or Hillsong music we're going to play. But there's this hymn that they would do great on, and I'd kind of plan the worship service with that in mind, with the musicians and the certain worship teams in mind. And I really believe there's a way for everybody to win, including your congregation. And I really want to challenge you to pick songs. Maybe you have to go back a little ways and pick an old song. It doesn't hurt. I was up at my brother's church in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, and the worship leader, he was a young guy with a guitar. They did one pretty hip new song, but he grabbed a couple of songs from, I think, 25 years ago or something. But I'm always analyzing when I'm sitting in a worship service or standing there singing, and the church was, probably 150 people max, so a smaller church. But it's amazing when he came to that old song, how many of these conservative people began to sing. The whole church was singing. So that's the other element I would want to suggest to you, that rather than trying to fit these, what did you call them? Old school generation players, fit them into your program. I'd kind of want to look at my congregation and say, hey, I bet you there's some old school people out there as well, and maybe pick a song that really works and like I say, causes them to win. And again, you're showing great appreciation and respect for your volunteers, because remember, they are giving up their time to come. They really want to be a part of it. Your job as a leader is to find the place that would cause them to win. So that's picking the right song, picking the right players to play that song. And I think there's a way to do it and still let your church continue to grow. So Joshua, thanks so much for your question. It was a good one. And if you've got a question you want to ask me, go to DonMoen.com/AskDon, and I'll give it my best shot. God bless. Have a great day.